Nathan, that is fantastic. What I'd like to do now is jump into my section. My section is about custom GPTs. And what I built along with my kids was my first stab at a custom GPT. It's called the Rock, Paper, Scissors Image Challenger. Just what you think. Basically, I go in and I upload an image. It says, please upload an image of your hand showing either rock, paper, scissors to start the game. If you need a reminder, rock is a closed fist, paper is an open hand, etc., etc. So it sort of explains the rules. So I go and I upload. In this case, it was a closed fist. And then what it did is it started to create its image answer. So here it is creating an image. What I find is that a lot of times the images aren't always the best. Like, yep, this is exactly what it's saying. So it does say paper, which is good, and the spelling is correct. But what you're going to find is that sometimes it doesn't create a great image of a rock, paper, or scissors, but it does tell you sort of the output. And then what you're also going to notice here is it kept the score for me. So this was just a real quick study of how to use a custom GPT. It was quirky. It took longer than I thought, but I think the more effort that I put into this type of thing, the better output I'm going to get. All I really wanted to do was early on is just to try to see how multimodal this could possibly be. And so while I didn't use video or audio, I did try to use pictures, and it sort of accomplished what I was looking for.
Nicely done. I'm impressed. That's a cool custom GPT.
Yeah. Our audience has no idea that we're using the power of post-production right now. So, so let me tell you how I did it. I basically have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. 5-year-old understands the power of rock, paper, scissors and wants to play me endlessly. And it just gave me this idea. Hey, what if I build a machine? I always thought it'd be kind of funny if you had an iPhone app and I had one and you had one, and we do rock, paper, scissors, you would select one and you would turn yours around. I always thought that that was an app that should have been created, but who knows whether it would ever monetize. So I built it as a custom GPT. And here was my conclusion is that it's early days of these custom GPTs. I've looked at all of them that are on the market right now, and I have not seen one that's like, oh my gosh, that tool that an everyday man built is now going to be a critical part of my business. Like, I have multiple apps in the App Store that have helped my business grow. The GPTs aren't there yet, but you can see that the ingredients are absolutely there. But what I happen to believe is that it's very possible that the future of websites and web development is that you're going to come to faratech.com, and if you want questions about my business, like, why click on my navigation, go to pages on my website, and if I went to Home Depot and I just wanted to get a light bulb, and there was a woman at the store that could literally just hand me the light bulb that I want and could answer any questions about that light bulb, do you think I'd take any joy about walking down the aisles? I really believe that there's going to be a day where you will go to brands' websites and you will just literally just ask them qualifying questions in their own GPT. Like, their homepage will be a GPT. And the answers that I'm curious about is whether once they start feeding it in text format, generative image, and generative video, is that sort of the future of the way brands will communicate? And so we will be having SEO conversations, but it'll be more like AI conversations. And these conversations are literally going to be like, what do you have to put into your GPT so that when either someone comes from ChatGPT or they go to your website, how are you going to target your GPTs to get the right answer to them? And how do you pre-train your own personal AI to still carry your brand, communicate effectively, and do all those things? I think that's what a GPT-5 or a Gemini multimodal will do, is that we're going to start to look back and be like, I don't think blue links and going to websites and moving around is the future of where marketing is going. So I think GPTs are the future of engagement.
Yeah, if that's true, then we'll have, this was the era when people pre-recorded or pre-wrote content, and that was called a content marketing program. And in the future, we'll live in an era when you just interact and get answers and insights in real time that are created on demand. based on a knowledge base published by that brand. And so, it's just it's a way to say, you have to have, today you have to have written or recorded the answer. In the future, the answer will be generated on demand. But the issue there is that for the answer to be generated on demand, you need a lot of training content, which means that really benefits the brand that had a ton of content marketing in this era.
And that's what you were saying. It's just like, how I think that the result that you get out is going to be equal or greater to, or less than rather, than the amount of content that you put in. So in the future, you will still need thought leadership. You will still need engagement. You'll still need to construct arguments. You'll still need to create utilities. I think the delivery method will change, but I still think marketers are going to have a place to do what they do best. And it's literally the two things you guys both said today. One was like, Nathan was like, hey, start with value. All right. If there was no SEO, start with value. You were saying you got to dump a lot of content in to get a really great result. In the future, if the delivery method changes, both of you guys are still right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm starting to realize, like, okay, if I want to make an Andy GPT, someone emailed me a question. It's like, hey, I've got a blog and like the URL structure is weird. It's a new job. I don't know. Should we change the URL structure? And I'm like, hey, listen, so, that's not a major search ranking factor. It only matters if there's a lot of search optimized content there. Is there keyword focused content on this blog? Because if not, don't worry about URL structure. It's like a 150 word answer to a common question. I copied that out of my email and put it into a document that I can use to later train Andy GPTs because, so it's not just content marketing. We all produce, this is Ann's book, Everybody Writes. We all produce content all the time. What we need is like to build a pipe from our sales team's email, set mail folder into, our websites or our bots or our, synthetic versions of our brand. So I think that the right way to train these things in the future will go beyond just content marketing. And we'll start to realize like every recorded Zoom call could have been, can be used as training, rights, legal language allowing, to train AIs to answer questions in the voice and in the topics of our brands.
Yeah, well, it's funny we're talking about this because I actually had someone reach out to me and it was a cold outreach and they said, hey, Nathan, I actually scraped all of your YouTube content and created a custom GPT that would answer questions based on your content. I was like, oh, I didn't really give you permission to do that. So that's kind of weird that you did that. So I'm kind of viewing it from a very different perspective, which is theft is going to be just constant because what happens when I can just be Andy, right? I'm just going to be Andy. I'm going to scrape all your stuff. I'm going to input it just like you described, and I'm going to become Andy for today. Oh no, I'm going to become Chris today. I'm going to be Joe Rogan tomorrow, right? What's going to stop anyone from doing it? And I think, the other part of it too, not to be my conspiracy theory kind of like futuristic thinking, but if we do get to artificial general intelligence or super intelligence, like, will our answers even matter anymore? Because if it can answer, if we're feeding it, we're giving it the inputs, we're training the AI, and eventually the AI will be smarter than us. And if it gets to that point, then maybe the pendulum will swing and people say, no, I just want to talk to Andy because he's such a nice guy.
Well,
so
yeah, I'll skip the second question, but answer the first. And the answer to the first is, hey, what if other people steal all your content and build a synthetic version of you? That goes back to your very first point, Nathan, which is build a brand. If you're talking to a bot that is me, you trust it because it's me. If you put a different face on my content, people won't maybe believe it as much. That's the power of brand. That gets back to the value of having built a brand and a reputation and being memorable and word of mouth and referrals and all the knowledge base and all the stuff you can train it on. We trust that company. We trust that person. I believe in Nathan. I took his course. So other people can go steal your content, but your face is what is the package for that, right? Logos, pathos, ethos. It's the package for that makes people believe it. So I think that ties in beautifully to your very first point, which is about the value of, memorability and building brands.
And we won't get it into deep fakes though. So
that's a problem. We'll avoid that.
That's right. Well, listen, this was a very fast hour. Thank you so much, Nathan, for joining us. I really appreciate it. Real quick, plug your academy. I'm part of it. I'm a fan. Tell our audience how they can find out about you and your academy and the other things you do.
Yeah, I mean, I won't sell you super hard. I mean, the academy is pretty simple. It's, well, I'll just say it's different, right? And this kind of goes along with, the pendulum swinging. And for us, when I first launched my academy, I had this idea that I just wanted to build the most scalable training program that exists. So I would sell it, people would go through it, wish you the best of luck. You can figure it out on your own, but here's the blueprint. That was fine. People bought it, people got results. But then I realized that there was a problem. The problem is that most people don't actually complete training. In fact, if you look at the data, it's roughly about 10% of people finish courses online.
Oh no.
Yeah. So on my training was a whopping about I think it was 15%. So, just to give you an idea, and actually I forgot what the percentage is, but a certain percentage never even logged in. So they bought it. They didn't ask for a refund, but they didn't even log in. And so for me, when I found that out, I was devastated because I was like, wow, if they just went through the training, they would get results. And I thought that's what they wanted. Very confusing for me. So I decided to scrap my old program and rebuild it from scratch. And the funny thing is, going back to the theme of today, which is more personal touch, more, human interaction, I integrated, because my partner, this great idea, are these weekly coaching calls. So every Tuesday and Thursday I get on, and Chris has seen it, I get on these calls. Yep. Sometimes they're an hour and 45 minutes. And I just answer every single question. I don't stop until every question is answered. And I think I'm getting close to 300 of these coaching calls.
It's awesome.
And I just
Capture
cannot
that training data. Capture that training data.
We do. We transcribe everything. So we'll put it into a GPT. But I just cannot express how much of a difference it's made, not just for my business, but just relationships with my clients, and just everything has gotten better across the board. And there's also some other secondary stuff, I feel more comfortable on camera, and there's a lot of other good things that have happened as well. But that's there's a lot of SEO courses out there and a lot of training programs, but that's what I believe is our differentiator. I personally don't think there's a lot of people that would be willing to do that. And I get it. It's not the easiest thing for me to do twice a week, but I've just seen the fruits of that labor, and it's been just so beneficial for not just myself and my business, but also the outcomes for the clients. That our completion rate now is 80%, as opposed to 10%. So
so cool.
Just something, said I wasn't going to pitch it very hard, but there you go. So,
There you go.
Yeah.
No, awesome. Fantastic.